And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 100 sub party for the real review 3000. I'm Chris Knight. I'm your excellent, most perfect host that you could ever have. Shut up, Shaun. So anyways, I want to welcome everybody out there who might be watching this and everybody who might watch this afterwards. I want to thank all of the people who have subbed to our channel to get us over this part. And also, I'd like to thank Drunk 3PO, who cannot be here. He helped us get over that 100 sub mark. But I have some great people here today, and I'm going to give them a chance to pimp their channel out there and kind of let you guys know what they're about. We're going to start left to right, what I have on my screen. We're going to go ahead and let's get Hoff Solo. Go ahead and tell them about your channel.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My channel's just got a bunch of different stuff on it. I started originally for my podcast, which I plan on doing a new episode this week, hopefully, when I find the time. But other than that, I just kind of do a bunch of other stuff too. You just gotta check it out.
All right.
How are you, Chris? How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Today has been a great day, except for one of the things we're going to talk about. That wasn't great, but you know, things happen. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Let's go ahead and move on down the line. I have Lee Cole the fourth. Go ahead and tell them about your channel, Lee.
Hello. It is the most earth-shaking, groundbreaking, but never media shill money-taking, the man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying YouTuber in YouTube entertainment today, Lee Cole the fourth. And I do a bunch of stuff. I got a really long plug. I have.
That's what she said.
I have a show that I do called Let's Talk, where I get a bunch of different guests on there. Mr. Chris was on there for one episode. I had Odin on there for my last episode, and we just talk about different debates, like civilized human beings that used to debate about stuff. So if you guys like stuff like that and movie reviews, anime reviews, all that, come and check my channel out. Thanks.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Next in line, Mary Mayhem. Go ahead and tell them about your channel.
Well, hi, guys. I am Mary B., the bringer of mayhem, disruptor of the narrative, and official Whammon card holder. And I'm thrilled to be here for your 100 sub party, Chris.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to have you on here. So, you got anything going on right now? Any special stuff coming up?
You know, I just put out a video today called Star Wars, a Tale of Unearned Superiority, where I kind of go over a lot of the reasons why I will not be seeing or will not be paying to see episode 9. And you know me, I always stream every single Wednesday and Thursday, and probably karaoke again this Saturday. Seeing as that's been going over really well. I've been really shocked and surprised to see how well the karaoke's been going over. So, you know me, I'm around. Hard to miss me, actually. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you've been, not to say this in a certain way that sounds bad, but you've been getting around, haven't you?
I mean, I've been accused of it. So.
Okay, and then yeah, I guess I have to let this guy talk, but the other half of the Real Review 3000 right here, and the guy on his own channel, I'm going to give him a chance to talk about his channel. It is Shaun Stackhouse. Go ahead, Shaun.
Well, let's do this. How would you describe me to other people? Let's just go with that. Yeah.
Shaun is a quiet, unmannered, rebellious. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. No, Shaun, you are a great person when it comes to music, to talk about music. You have a lot of good input on different music, and you do a really good job with your reactions. You do reactions, you do retro reactions, and you do current reactions. The retro reactions is pretty cool. If you haven't seen that, check that out. And then you have your music stuff. All your music stuff, you know, For the Love of Vinyl, for instance, is really cool. You'll bring out your vinyl records and you'll tell people about it, and you'll play some of the excerpts from it. So you got a lot of good things over there. And, you know, I do want to say really quick, though, the reason why I work with Shaun is he's got a lot of good ideas. We work well together, coming up with different ideas for videos, but he's an excellent editor. If you think the edits on my videos are good right now, he's been doing all of that. So that's definitely one of the reasons why I have him in here, is because if it wasn't for him, what you see on my channel right now it wouldn't be there. So Shaun, that's what I have to say about you. So go ahead and pimp out your channel really quick though.
Yeah, it's what is it again?
It's Shaun Stackhouse Reacts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a second since I've uploaded something to it. I've been uploading stuff to the Real Review 3000, so I had to sit and think for a second. But yeah.
Oh, listen to you.
No, I've lost like 10 subs this week, man, just because I haven't been doing anything on my channel. And I've been working on that our SJW's protected class video and trying to make it all
work.
It
wasn't dead.
Well, it wasn't that. I had to chop out like 3 or 4 minutes of just dead footage, you know, that just didn't seem to work. And so, yeah, that was like a week's worth of work. And but yeah, I'm going to get back to my channel probably sometime this week. And I know that we have some more things that we're going to be doing on the Real Review 3000 as well.
That is correct. And we're going to go ahead and get into our first subject right now.
Chris, I did want to apologize for not plugging that. I'll probably have you for an interview on Wednesday. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, that is correct. And
Chris is free to be plugged at all times.
Me going first.
That's fine. And what did you say, Shaun? What was your smart-ass comment?
I said Chris is free to be plugged at all times.
Oh, Shaun. Oh, geez. Oh, wow. This is going to be interesting.
Snappy comeback, man. You need a snappy.
Mine? Oh, I don't need a snappy comeback. He only knows that he knows how to get plugged. That's the only thing he knows. So,
I don't quite understand how you turn my insult on me and expect that to be brilliant.
Listen, Shaun, there's many things that I know, and one of them is not how to be plugged. It's all you, dude.
Okay, whatever you say.
Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get to one of 2 topics we're going to talk about today. And since it's kind of a current event, we're going to go ahead and talk about today Notre-Dame Cathedral burned. And we have a lot to talk about there. Anybody want to step in and start on this one?
Oh, sure.
The Hunchback's out of a job now.
That's true.
He is. He's the bell ringer, right? So.
Yeah. Let's do this real quick. I'm just looking here on a news story, and it says what we know. They say a major fire erupted at Notre-Dame Cathedral in Paris today. It says the cathedral, which is undergoing renovations, suffered extensive damage. Authorities have yet to determine the cause of the fire. No deaths were reported yet, and they say that the construction began in 1163 and was completed in 1345. Also in this story I'm reading, they say that the roof itself is basically going to have to be all torn out.
Yeah.
But they believe that they've saved the 2 towers and most of the stone structure is safe now. But they're still checking. They're not positive.
Towers collapsed, though, right?
One of the spires did, the smaller spires, but the towers itself and all that, they were worried about the bells. I think the bells are fine. A lot of bronze statues were taken out last year. I believe the apostles, which were on the roof, were taken down last week or something. So
I think the cross that they believe Jesus was crucified was taken out as well.
Yeah, they took a lot of the artwork out.
But I find it interesting that I know it's under construction and whatnot, but I find it interesting that yesterday was Palm Sunday, and this is the Holy Week for Christians and Catholics, and you know, put on my tinfoil hat here. You know, you know, it's sad that we live in this type of world, but that you have to, in the back of your mind, think of possible terrorism.
I mean, I think as I understood it earlier, they felt like it was a potential mishap from the remodeling that they were doing, or the renovating they were doing, was what I had read earlier, was what they're thinking at this point.
Typically with a terrorist attack, they want you to know it was an attack, you know, and this is kind of as far as I know, they don't really have anything else on that.
They can't get into the Vatican. That thing's locked down like Fort Knox, you know.
You have a better chance of actually getting into Fort Knox.
Right. So the closest thing that they could possibly do to do anything to damage the Holy Week for Catholics and Christians is, you know, something like this.
I mean, where did you get that notion from? I'm trying to. Is this just speculation on your part, or?
Yeah, it's just pure speculation. I have nothing to base it on.
Okay, I was going to say, like, I haven't heard anything like that.
I would like to point to that. So that structure in particular, and I'm a Christian. I don't really. Christians and Catholics kind of have a thing going, but one thing that we all shared was that structure is almost iconic, even beyond religion. Like dating back to like centuries, they used it as a safe haven.
Yeah, like the 12th century, I think was when it was built, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know. I want to say it's kind of like one of those things where even terrorists, and I don't want to like say that they're great people, but it's one of those things where even they wouldn't touch it. They would want to go for something that has more significance, like a federal building, a populace that's, like a food court or something like that. They want something to that effect. Something with religion.
Well, yeah, but you're thinking like attacking governments, man. You're thinking of like striking at the heart of governments. You know, maybe some of these fools have gone back into the crusade mentality, and they're striking at the heart of the opposite religion.
Well, that just seems like some really wild speculation to me. And I think we owe it to the people watching to be very careful with our words, right? Because
sure. Well, like I said in the beginning, I have to put on my tinfoil hat. So
fair enough. I think mostly the big concern right now is that, like, well, you could kind of look at this in a very similar way to like the library at Alexandria burning, right? Like, this is a piece of history, right? This is something we need to really make sure that we make a point of, because this is history right here.
Yes.
Presumably that they will do their best to restore it, to try to fix it and everything.
But there's so many things that they can't restore, like the stained glass windows. You know, I mean, there's so much that's going to be lost.
To that thing, really quick, one thing I will say this is that the police in Paris have already stated that they have opened up a criminal inquiry. So they may have some inkling that it may not have been purposeful, but that maybe something illegal is attached to it somehow. And then two, let's go on the possible chance of it ever getting rebuilt and say the ways you can do that. Digital mapping. You got to think that most of that cathedral has been photographed from the inside. They probably have every inch of that cathedral photographed before the renovation. And so how do people feel about maybe a digital mapping of it so they can basically make it like it was, even though it's going to be new? How do we do that? Do we use newer products, or do we actually hire people who might be able to hand cut the timbers and redo it like it was?
I think you're going to have
to do that.
I think you're going to have to maybe do a mix of both. Maybe the modern stuff to where it's kind of out of sight, but on the outside to appease the purists and stuff. I think you're going to have to do like a lot of the timbers and stuff by hand, but interior to where, for like supports and stuff, to reinforce things, I think maybe that's got to be modern.
I talked about this with you, Chris, a little bit, and my thoughts is that a building is almost like a living, breathing thing, especially something that historical, because I was just telling Chris how I'm a historical buff, and I feel like you can remap it. You can maybe even replicate exactly what it was, but it loses a bit of itself. It's almost like it loses a part of what it was, and it's not the same. And I think that's where people are going to be a little bit like, you can reconstruct it right back to what it was, but people are never going to look at it the same because in their mind, they the original burn.
Right. Well, it's like let's look if you're a person, right? And let's say you get a false limb, right? Like you're using technology to replace pieces of your organs that don't function without it, right? Like you become aware of that. You become aware that you're not quite the same anymore, that there's something really different about you.
Are we saying that Notre-Dame Cathedral is going to become Darth Vader?
I was thinking Steve Austin, you know, the $5 million man.
I'm sorry, Mary. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
You're fine.
But go ahead with your point, though. You got a good point.
No, it's just I think Lee is right. You know, you lose something in that process. And I mean, I hesitate to call it akin to a living, breathing person, at least in that there is a distinction to be made there. But I would say that it is certainly an intricate part of living, breathing people in terms of our faith, right? Like it's essential to a lot of people's faith in a lot of ways. And it's essential to the culture of you know, like it's essential to that culture as well, right? So you have to kind of stop and take a look. We've lost something, at least I'm not in its whole, obviously, but we have lost significant portions of something that is deeply important to people and to that culture. And so I think today is a day to be remembered, right? Like restorations go on throughout history. And this is one of those moments where we need to sort of pause and remind ourselves we're living right now, guys. We're breathing. These are our moments and we shouldn't be wasting them. They're precious. They're important and they can't be gotten back.
Yeah. And to the point too that I wanted to make, because I heard the trade towers being brought up and I lived in New York. I actually lost a family member in that. And, you know, besides losing people, the building had been knocked down once before, right? But structurally, they were able to do something where they made it stronger, but it was essentially the same building. Once they were taken out again, that's why we never rebuilt them, because one, it was a horrific tragedy. And two, it felt like the right thing to do to just kind of leave it as a memorial rather than try to rebuild something that wouldn't feel the same. You know what I mean? It would just feel like, I don't know how to describe it. It would just feel like
disrespectful.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I mean, I know this isn't the same because, you know, technically you can salvage it, but you know, you are losing bits. You're losing bits of what it was, you know. I don't know. That's kind of what I mean by it being alive. It's like there's historical elements attached to it, and why most people won't know all of the history. They'll know enough of the history to realize how important of a structure it actually was.
You know, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and please don't misread what I'm about to say. But it just goes to sort of what I was saying a minute ago about, you know, these, you know, remembering that we're people and we're here and we're in these moments, right? Like sometimes it's important that these things happen, right? Like, and I'm not advocating in any way terrorism or the destruction of wonderful historical, you know, buildings and monuments, because those things are important. I'm not advocating that under any circumstances, but these things are also inevitable, right? They happen. You can't maintain everything for forever, but sometimes it's important to stop in these moments and to take a breath and to look around us and to recognize what's important to us, right? Because these physical things, they don't last forever. We don't last forever. We're here for a blink and then it's gone. And these things that we sort of take for granted to last for so long and to always be available to us, to always be there. Perhaps we don't cherish them enough. Perhaps we don't value them enough. And maybe these moments remind us what's really important in life, not just the structures, not just the buildings and the monuments, but one another, right? Like that it's a blink and it's over and it's gone. And all you have left is the legacy that you leave behind you. What did you do with yourself? What did you build? What did you leave in your place to stand for you? And I think that that's important to reflect on at moments like this, because that's really all we have, is the memory we leave of ourselves behind to people. So what are you doing with yourself? What are you doing with your life?
You know,
I think you're right on. Yeah.
I think that, you know, you all bring up really good points. So that begs the question here. I was talking about this earlier with some people. And I said, you got to think that, you know, because of what it means to the Catholics, the Roman Catholics, and all of that, I said, it just seems like they have to rebuild it. And then somebody said, this Pope's been really, you know, hesitant to do these types of things and stuff. And I said, but don't you think that the overall consensus would be this has to be rebuilt? So I ask all of you, rebuild, or do we let it sit the way it will be after this, clean it up as best we can, and leave it as that?
Well, I think we should probably talk to the people in the community and see what they think. You know, I mean, it's theirs more than it is the world's. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So maybe if we get the feeling of what the community thinks and go from there, maybe that would be the best bet, instead of just going in there like, oh, we're America, we rebuild everything.
Well, I don't think we would be allowed in to just assume that would be incredibly haughty of ourselves to think.
I don't even mean that as far as, you know, America. I just mean in general. You're talking about a religion that is worldwide, and that each one of the people who follow that religion, don't they deserve a say of this? This is their.
They do.
In a sense, it's like us with the capitals and stuff. They are our buildings as Americans. So if the United States Capitol was to be burned, or if the White House was to be burned again, it's already been burned once. They rebuilt it, and they did it. Is that not what you think that the Catholics would want? I mean, so I'm not sure. I'm not even talking about America, because I don't think it's us. I think it's the Catholics. And if the Pope says no, we're not going to put money towards this, I think he's got a problem on his hands. I think they're going to say, wait a minute, this deserves to be rebuilt. That's what I mean. I honestly think that you rebuild this as best as you can, as close to the original. You take all the photos you have everything. You hire people who can do this like it was done the first time by hand. And even if it takes 100 years from this point, you were already starting to do these things. Let's do this.
In all honesty, though, Chris, I think this Pope is so unlike any Pope that we've had in the past. I think that he's chill enough to be like, yeah, guys, let's go ahead and rebuild this. Now, I mean, don't quote me on it, but if, you know, out of all the popes in my lifetime, you know, like John Paul II, the Pope that was it Benedictine or Arnold Benedictine, which I don't remember.
Benedictine.
Yeah, and then this Pope, I think he's the most chill out of all of them, you know. And I think out of all the popes in my lifetime, if any Pope is going to be like, yeah, let's do this, I think it would be him.
I saw
a clip. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go on.
I was going to say, I saw a clip earlier of the French president saying they were definitely going to rebuild it. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen.
Well,
does he have more say than the Pope over that? Or
nah, I don't think so.
No,
he was talking pretty squarely on that.
Yeah, because the church in religious matters can supersede government. I know this. I can't say from what, but there was a time where I literally watched the church supersede military authority.
Well, it depends on the country.
Even we were.
I also think that if they rebuild it, it could really bring a lot of people together too. You know, there's going to be a lot of support surrounding that, and it could turn out to be a really positive thing in the end, even though you lose something.
I don't think it's a question of whether or not it will be rebuilt, but how long it'll take. Like I can't imagine there being any questions surrounding this as to whether or not they'll rebuild it.
I mean, it was just a point that people brought up today in our conversation. I said, but you kind of are required to. And when we bring up the French president coming up and saying it's going to be rebuilt, okay, here's the deal. Even if the Pope or the Roman Catholic Church decides to say, no, we're not going to put the money towards this, don't you think America, France, England, all these other countries that this actually means something to. And I don't mean it even in a religious state. I mean what history means to our countries and the importance of history. Do you not think that these countries would say, we will help you pay for this? And think about the millions of Catholics out there. They're going to give in tithes to go towards this. There will be a tithe this coming up Easter Sunday that in every one of the churches in America that is Catholic, they will pass that out. And I guarantee you they might have $2 to $3 million just this Sunday from that.
Well, I'll go one further. I'll go one further than that, Chris. I think a lot of the Protestant churches will actually tithe for this too.
I do too, because we all come. If you're religious in any state, if you are a Christian, you stem from Catholicism.
So not to be like a not to be like a Nazi about this or whatever, but it's not actually tithe that would be given towards this. It would be offering. Tithe is just
Tithe. Tithe is
the offerings. I guarantee you. I agree
of your pay. You're correct.
I mean, I agree with Shaun. I guarantee you that a lot of Protestants are going to be giving to this as well, because this you're right, Chris. This isn't just about, about that particular culture or even Catholicism. This is, I mean, there are stories like just to name the most blatantly obvious, Hunchback of Notre-Dame, that the world embraces and holds dear, that revolve around this beautiful architecture. And so it's not just imperative to Notre-Dame, it's imperative to the world that it be put right, that we restore and we preserve our history. Our history is what informs our future. It's imperative. It must be there.
And with the way, to Mary's point too, with the way the world is, I think people will get behind this, because we are watching with the things that we struggle with our channels. We are watching people trying to rewrite and change history and narratives and everything that isn't true. And for me, this would be a personal thing, just taking religion out of it. This would be a personal thing, because it is a part of a rich tapestry of history that you would want your kids to know about and their kids to know about. And I think those things are what people are going to gravitate. I mean, people, clear-minded thinking people want these things to stay around because they want their kids to enjoy them. The kids go to Paris or something like that. They want them to be able to see these marvelous wonders that other places have to offer. And I think that is important, that we, not only preserve this, but anything like historical should be preserved and should be enjoyed for ages, especially the work and the detail that went into it.
I agree with you, Lee, but I mean, the one thing that we have to remember, it seems like we're running short of logically thinking people.
Well, no argument there, Shaun. I mean, we are, but that's why I like. Okay, so I sit down with my daughter, and even though it used to annoy me with my dad, I'm glad that he did it to me, and now I do it to my daughter. I sit down and I go through historical stuff with her and different landmarks and things, and I explain the importance, because, I realize how some of the new generation is, and not all of them. I work with some younger coworkers at the theater. Some of them are very bright for their age, and I think that, that's the problem. That's where we get these people that we have, is that, we need to educate the youth, and we need to have them enjoy this, not just from a religious or philosophical end, but just from a humanity sense. I mean, these structures have brought people together quite literally in hard times. It's not so much the building, but what it represents as a culture, as people.
And our history is being bastardized and erased. So, the more that people can correct course in their own home with their children and say, no, this is the actual course of history. What they're teaching you in schools is very, very skewed. I think that's very important.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're all in fairly similar agreement that we need to rebuild this piece of history. and we need to be mindful of history and those things. And again, while this is a religious structure, it's not just about religion. I mean, you know, we have atheists in the world. We have people who don't practice this religion. We have all this different stuff. But what brings us all together is that this is a place that has historical meaning. And a lot of us can tie back to there at some point in the history of our families and our lineage. You know, it's much bigger than just the religious side of things. This is a worldwide human history thing. And I think that's why it's important that we rebuild it. And it's a sad day that it happened.
So would you equate this to say something horrible happened to Ellis Island, you know, and all the history from Ellis Island with all the immigrants coming in there, and you know, it could never be rebuilt the way that it was because, you know.
Yeah, I will, because, okay, Ellis Island is a mixed bag because you have what happened with the immigrants coming in, you know, with the Irish, they were being pelted with the Italians, you had them not being welcome, but there's something weird about Ellis Island when it's like once they step off the boat and they made their little corner wherever they settled in the New York area, then, you know, we became accepting. But yeah, that's been like a way station for people who wanted to go from a bad situation and find a dream. You know, to me, the Ellis Island represents coming into the American dream. Like how many people came in with stars in their eyes and they're like, I'm going to make it. And they busted their behinds. I mean,
oh yeah,
through Brooklyn or the Bronx or Long Island, Staten Island, Queens, you could see like shops from these guys who came in and their father's father came in and all they had was basically nothing. They swept and they worked hard and they busted their behind to open this little shop and they kept it going, man. They kept it going. And that's why I would save that, because that's what Ellis Island represents. It represents the dreamer coming in and, you know, not having a nickel to their name and taking something and build, you know, taking nothing and building it into something and then passing it on. And yeah, it would be very important to me.
Yeah, it would be important to me as well. I had the fortune to tour Ellis Island back in 2000, and it was literally like stepping back into time.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, again, these are all very important places. And, you know, I mean, again, it's a sad day when this stuff happens, but I believe that it's an important thing that we talk about because, again, this is a people thing, and we lose touch with that so often in this world, the human element of things. So, yeah, but I think that, you know, that was a great discussion, though, about that.
Yeah,
you guys,
you're welcome.
Great points. Oh, yes, Shaun, especially you sitting there in your lovely haze of fun.
Hey man, okay, I'm holding it together. Shut up.
Oh, you're doing great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and give away a prize right now to our lovely audience watching right now. We got 13 watching, which I'm absolutely happy about. If you haven't put your name in the chat yet, please do it really quick.
I feel like that number should be doubled.
Well, it could be. That'd be fine. If you haven't liked the stream yet, please do like it. And if you know people who have not subbed to our channel, please put out the word to sub to our channel. Right now, let's see here. Hoff, do me a favor. Pick a number between 1 and 7.
Let's go with 2.
2. No way. No way you have won.
No way. Thank you, no way.
Yeah. No way has won Batman Under the Red Hood. I will be getting with him after the stream and telling him how he can redeem that. And we'll give another one away here in about another 20 minutes or so. Right now, I'm going to ask Mary to pick a number between 1 and 3.
Between 1 and 3?
Between 1 and 3.
3.
3? Mm-hmm. Shaun, you have won a prize. I will get with you later about what your prize can be. It'll be absolutely nothing probably, but that's okay.
Thank you, Shaun.
I feel like I should be exempt from the prizes.
Okay. So Mary, do me a favor, pick a number between, actually it should have been 1 and 4, but we'll go ahead and take Shaun's name off this. Go ahead and pick a number between 1 and 3 again.
Okay. 1.
1. Hoff, you have won the first of 2 prizes, and I'll get with you after the stream and explain to you what that prize will be. It's
thank you, Chris.
Gonna be pretty open-minded. I'm pretty good with giving away stuff, so
I appreciate it, man.
No way put in there. I'm Batman. I don't know. I think Shaun would have to argue with that. Midnight Images is in now. We're going to go ahead and put him in him or her. I don't want to say.
Yeah, Midnight is he's amazing.
Okay, well, you see, ever since I misspoke the other, last week, I'm very gun shy about knowing who people are for sure. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and since we've given away 2 different things just now, let's go ahead and talk about the next thing, which is the episode 9 teaser trailer. I am sure I am one of the few people here who is still willing to say he is hopeful for this movie. But though I do agree with Mary, I don't plan to pay to go see this. I do plan to figure out a way around that. So who would like to go first on this lovely subject?
Well, I would like to say something. Let me gather my thoughts here.
Form your thoughts right now.
Yes. I think that this was the most unimaginative, boring, dull, unnecessary piece of film trash that I have ever seen in my entire life.
Harsh words, man.
That is harsh.
Start that one off.
So why do you think that?
Because, I mean, Rey, of course, it has to start out with Super Rey, and she jumps over Kylo's, what was it, an X-Wing or why?
It's like a TIE fighter. And, she jumps over it and she's got her lightsaber out and, she's going to cut it open and she's just going to be the most badass Jedi ever. And my biggest issue is the title, The Rise of Skywalker. Are you freaking kidding me? Mm. And I know that people have said, oh, well, she's a Skywalker for all this time. And that, Kylo and Rey are probably related. But I didn't want her to be a Skywalker. I didn't want her to be, I mean, if anything, I wanted her to be a Kenobi, I'm very disheartened by this. All right, so let's do this. Let's go with that here in a second. I want to get Mary, Lee, and Hoff's general consensus on what they thought when they first saw this, and then we'll go back and kind of dissect pieces of this and we'll talk about it. So Mary, what was your thought of the teaser trailer?
Well, I've made it no secret that I basically despise it. I despise it for a lot of reasons, but chiefly the concept that Palpatine would be back. That highly upsets me quite a bit, and I'll try to remain calm since we're celebrating 100 subs. Yay! Right? But I very much, when I'm not angry, I'm altogether apathetic. I just don't care.
And Mary, have they officially announced McDermott's return as Palpatine?
Okay, so McDermott was on the stage of Star Wars Celebration. I watched the Geeks and Gamers live stream of it, watched the whole thing. It was absolute ridiculousness that he comes out on the stage as soon as it's over and he's just laughing maniacally. And look, I love Ian McDermott. Okay, I love the guy. He's fantastic. Could not have been a better villain, right? But for him to come out like that, it was just like, are you kidding me right now? And I understand why, George Lucas is involved in writing the script, and of course he went back to what he knows. Of course they did. They're pulling on nostalgia strings right now, but yeah. So I would say if nothing else, we know he'll be back. What form exactly he takes is still open to interpretation.
Do you think that it's possible that Palpatine and Snoke have been the same person all along?
Oh, wait, before we go into that, let's continue down the line and let's go ahead and get first thoughts. And then, like I said, we'll break this down and we will talk about those things, because I do want to get into all of that, but I like to get everybody's first viewpoints of it. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. Hey, Mary, were you done or?
I mean, like, yeah. To summarize, I am between enraged and apathetic, and it just depends on what part of the trailer we're looking at.
Interesting. Okay, Lee, what would you say?
Oh, when she jumped down and had the double lightsabers. Oh, wait a second. Shit, I was thinking of Clone Wars season 7. Never mind. Yeah. My thoughts are. Can I swear on this?
Keep it kind of PG. I prefer.
Okay. Who gives a crap? That's where I'm at right now. I mean, I don't care. I never thought I'd hear myself say that. I really don't care. I'm a completionist, so I'll see it, but I don't care. I was more excited about Clone Wars season 7 trailer.
Well, you work at a movie theater, so you have like the best job in the world. You can see what you want and you don't have to pay for it. So you don't count on if you're going to go see it or not. I just want to tell you that, okay?
Yeah. But I'm going to see it and it'll be free, but that was kind of like being able to see Captain Marvel for free. I didn't pay nothing except for I lost a piece of my soul. So twice, because my friends hate me. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really care.
Oh, interesting. Hoff, what say you?
Now, the trailer did absolutely nothing for me. Nothing at all. I'm already sick of these characters. I don't know. It's so confusing. They're trying to pull at a lot of different like theories and things again. I don't know. I don't know who they're trying to pander to with this thing. If they're just trying to mass appeal, but I just feel like, I don't know, it's watered down, and I'm really just, like Lee said, I don't really care anymore what happens to these characters or where the story is going, because it doesn't even really matter to me anymore.
Ray's just a random lady.
Yeah, you see, okay, so
lady.
My viewpoints of this are, again, quiet optimism, and this doesn't help. This trailer certainly does not help quiet optimism. Again, we hear Luke say, "We've taught you everything we know." Okay, we haven't seen that. So are we going to see that finally? Are we going to see something to show that she gets trained? I understand it's probably not going to happen. The jumping over and trying to cut a TIE fighter, crazy. I do like the thought that they might be bringing them out more as a group again. But again, I agree with you guys. The character thing, a lot of these guys lack character, and there's so much potential for character in every one of these characters that we're going to give them the most awesome chance to be the most awesome characters they could ever be in Star Wars, and yet we're not going to develop anything about them. And that's where we're at. So
Exactly.
let's break this down really quick. The beginning, if I remember right, we see Rey, kind of the whole Finn from episode 7, the teaser trailer for that, kind of similar. The breathing, the desert. Do we think we're going back to Tatooine, or where do we think we're going with this? Where are we going to go on this? Are we going to do what we did already, which is jump back to another planet we've already been to mirror Return of the Jedi with A New Hope type thing?
There was a point in the trailer where they were all sort of on this sand like ship thing, right? And it was very reminiscent. Do what?
A skiff, I think it's what it's called.
Yeah. It was very, very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi, right? Like you sort of, and I think it was meant to be that way, and it sort of harkened back to that. And of course, we saw the Death Star in pieces, essentially, on what we assume, of course, the only thing that makes sense is the moon of Endor, right? So I really think that for the most part, this is going to be a lot similar to The Force Awakens in that it's very similar in terms of plot, and they do a lot of things to harken back to it visually. So they snatch you up by the nostalgia, but the substance is minimal, right? If at all. I don't think they could have a 3-hour movie, and I don't think that they could fix all of the problems that have been in place by the Last Jedi. So at this point, they're going to do what The Force Awakens did. They're going to rely on these beautiful images, these nostalgic images. They're going to rely on your love of these characters like Palpatine and Lando Calrissian and Princess Leia. And I'm sorry, that she'll always be a princess to me. They're going to rely on that. They're going to suck you in. And the trailers are going to be good. The trailers are going to be amazing. Remember the trailers for The Last Jedi, guys? Remember those? They were amazing. Disney is not stupid. They're going to put something out there that looks as substantive as possible, right? This is going to be very familiar, and it's going to look good and feel good, and it's going to be like eating a piece of candy, right? Like it tastes good, it feels good for a moment, but when it's over, are you really going to be fulfilled? No, you're not. I think that's what we have to look forward to here.
Okay. So anybody else? Let's go with that, the nostalgic thing. Are we going to be revisiting places we've already been?
Me, PB, Prime, and I can't remember who else, but we were talking about this. First off, there's a huge plot hole that I don't think no one covered. When the Death Star blew up in Return of the Jedi, it blew up like there were tiny shards that fell onto Endor. Now, if you look at that shot in the trailer, that's quite a big piece of that Death Star. And so right there from the onset and the scenery, it doesn't make sense to what has already happened, because I literally looked at tons of pictures of this. And now in the movie The Return of the Jedi, the explosion was bigger and the chunks that flew off were smaller. But I think they're retconning the game, because in the new game, Battlefront 2, the explosion is bigger and the pieces that land onto the moon are much bigger. So I think what JJ is doing is retconning Battlefront 2, because it's supposed to take place in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, and using that as the template for the explaining why the Death Star fell and had huge pieces. Because in all actuality, the Emperor should be dead. He should be dead. That thing blew up catastrophically. So right there's already a plot hole.
Okay, well, I have a thought about that, but Hoff, what do you think about this? The nostalgic side of things.
They're playing into it hard. I tend to think that planet that Rey's on in the beginning could be Tatooine, and because you see the skiff stuff later in the trailer, but also maybe she's going there to try to find Luke Skywalker again or something. I don't know. But they're definitely going to bank on a lot of that stuff, and I know you want to get in this later, but to me, it's just kind of confusing me, really bad. I'm like, what are they trying to do here? Because at this point, I'm lost. I don't know what they tried to accomplish with the last two movies, but it didn't work. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, really.
Okay, Shaun. Sorry. Go ahead, Hoff.
I was going to say, but I do see that they're playing very heavily, and they're going to, especially with the title, The Rise of Skywalker. That's just, I don't know. I wasn't even a big fan of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. The title is kind of subjective, and what are we trying to say? Shaun, the nostalgic side of it, you think that's where we're going with this one?
I don't think they have anywhere else to go. I don't think there's anybody at Lucasfilm that really has any inkling of how to progress the story naturally without having to rehash the past.
I mean, so we all think this is going to be a beautiful film that's going to bring us back to nostalgic eras of the original trilogy and things like that, and that really there will be no forward movement with what they've tried to do, and we're just going to be having a movie that has absolutely nowhere to go.
Well, I mean, it's going to end, right?
Well, yeah.
It has to end, of course. The question is, like,
Does it?
is that ending? Well, yeah, they have announced that this is the end of the Skywalker saga.
But I know, and that's what makes me so curious about them saying it's the rise of the Skywalker, or the rise of Skywalker.
Right?
Well,
I think we all know what that means. It means Rey's going to be a Skywalker, and they're trying to tell us up front, hey guys, so we are going to kind of sort of sideways acknowledge that Rian Johnson screwed us all, right? And so they're telling us up front, it's okay though now, because we're going to fix it. Right, we're gonna fix. So they're telling us up front because they know we would have to know that up front, right? They recognize that at least a portion of the outrage has to do with the fact that Rey doesn't fit anywhere. She doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because she doesn't fit in anywhere. I thought this was the Skywalker saga, right? So where does she fit? And you got Kylo Ren, who's the only quote unquote Skywalker left, even though he's a solo. I mean, the only other route, there are only two routes, is either Kylo Ren becomes good, which I don't think anyone really wants to see, right? Because he was really the only decent part of a lot of this stuff. Was Kylo Ren was somewhat interesting in that you felt like he had this connection to the dark side, and he was trying to be like his grandfather, right? I don't want to see Kylo Ren redeemed. In fact, don't you dare. He killed Han. I will never forgive him for that. You can't have him forgive. You can't forgive him for killing Han. You should know that. You should know that, right?
Mary, you and Shaun are gonna have odds at this because I'm gonna tell you what Shaun has talked about with me, because Shaun has this idea that possibly, Shaun, do you believe that the best thing they could do is flip the roles of Rey and Kylo?
I think that, well, I don't think it's the best thing they could do, but I think it would at least make it a little more interesting.
So basically have them flip parts. Find out that Kylo is going to be...
Have Rey go dark and have Kylo go light.
You could forgive him for killing Han?
No. I'm not saying that.
Absolutely not.
I'm just saying that it would be an interesting experiment in character development if they were to automatically, out of nowhere, swap sides and Rey.
It would have worked if he hadn't killed Han. I would grant you that. But at the same time, those kinds of swaps, those kinds of subversion of your expectations, if you will, only work if the audience is capable of following along emotionally. And I feel like the vast majority of audience can't do that, because how could we? What
if there was like a really, really, really heartfelt emotional scene when Kylo realizes the errors of his ways, and then say he sees Han, and then Han says, son, I forgive you. If what you've done to me, and taking my life, if that was part of your journey to come back to the light, then...
Well, first of all, Han doesn't have, Han's not a Jedi. He can't.
No, he's not. But then again, how many times have we said over the past couple of months, obviously they're making up new rules for the Force. So,
it's too much. It's too much to buy. Look,
I agree with that.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because I was actually not bothered by Han Solo's death.
Traitor.
I know people are going to now try to...
Traitor.
Yeah, but
Traitor.
I'll tell you why.
Hold on. Lee, I actually don't mind that Han Solo died. I mind the concept of demanding that we forgive the person who murdered him.
No, I want to say why that would work as a redemption. Because when Han Solo went to face Kylo Ren, he very well knew that death was a possibility.
Oh, definitely.
And this is why I didn't dislike Force Awakens. That scene was actually a pretty good, emotional, very subtext scene. Because when he stabs Han, if you look at his face, because I have watched The Force Awakens multiple times, if you look at his face and everything as he's dying, he kind of dies with a smile, and he kind of knew it was coming. And it was kind of like him saying,
have done that.
Yeah, but that's just Harrison Ford realizing that his contract is up.
But what I'm saying is there's something in that moment where he's kind of like, you know, I knew this was coming. I knew he was going to do it. It could have went one way or the other. And I don't think that Han would hold that kind of a grudge for him. And if he did come back to light, it would be as if him dying meant something. So it would actually give more weight to Han's death. They could even play it up as a catalyst.
But no, it's they would have to make it work that way, though. And I'm sorry, but the way that they built up him dying, you knew it was coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't emotionally weightful or impactful to me. It was just me sitting there for several minutes, knowing what was about to happen and hating Kylo Ren more and more by the second for what I knew he was about to do. And I'm sorry, but no, I don't even appreciate the scene because there was no gravitas, there was no reason, no rhyme, no method, no anything. There was nothing to it. It was just a way of murdering him, like it was just a way to murder Luke. And I was angry, and I just grew angrier and angrier by the second as it went down because I saw it coming, and all I could think was, I can't stop it. I can't stop it. Someone needs to stop this now because it didn't make any sense. It was all senseless and mindless, and it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It didn't do anything. It didn't cause anything. So no, I wasn't moved by that scene because there's nothing about it that was moving. It was just infuriating.
So Mary, let me ask you this. What if, since, JJ came in and he had, I read in an article the other day, he had absolutely no idea how to even approach episode 9 because of episode 8. What if it turns out that Han Solo is not really dead?
I would call retcon like I will call everything else in this movie retcon.
Uh-huh.
I don't care anymore.
I don't think retcon is the answer.
Oh, okay, and you're right. You're right by calling it retcon. But say Han Solo, towards the end of the movie, shows that he's still alive. And,
I don't want a retcon though. I don't want to roll my eyes at retcon. I wanted a good trilogy.
I did too, but we don't have it. We don't have it.
Then I'm not on board.
Okay, but
what she's saying is there's nothing you can fix by bringing them back. It doesn't matter if you bring them back. It doesn't matter if you don't bring them back. Retconning it is absolutely out of the point.
I know, but what I'm just trying to get back to the whole idea of Rey and Kylo flipping sides. Would that make any difference at all at that point?
No, because it all feels like a giant convoluted harebrained scheme to try to get butts in the seat, and I'm sick of being manipulated.
I agree.
Okay.
I would enjoy that version of the film much more than I have enjoyed any of the new trilogy. But
so, Hoff, what do you think about all that?
Oh, I was just letting them go.
Well, you should
no, I really don't want to see anyone brought back. I don't want to see Luke brought back. I don't want to see Han brought back. I don't know. I don't know where to go from here after The Last Jedi and also The Force Awakens killing Han off in that one. I know Harrison Ford probably didn't want to do a trilogy again or whatever, but
definitely not.
But it's all, it was never a good idea to begin with, in my opinion, to add on to episode 6. Don't mean to go back that far, but they were doomed from the start, in my opinion.
There's 30 years of history here. There's 30 years of events we haven't seen, and they haven't given us any idea. And I think that's I still don't
even know how that lightsaber got to Maz Kanata's castle yet.
And that's the thing. It's like they're glossing over all the points that we need to know, and it's not if we need to know. It's we need to know these things for this movie to make any sense. And I do agree with you and everybody else that says that there's just no exposition. And while I don't like exposition, while the original trilogy had very little exposition, it had enough. It gave you the answers you needed to follow the story. This is a jumbled mess of eye candy and soft characters.
Well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up real quick, Chris, because a few people have brought it up already in the chat. It was my mom's reaction to the concept that Palpatine would be alive, right? My mom had this like, she was like, what? No, he's dead. But it doesn't make any sense. They're dragging in these new characters. They're dragging in these old characters that have no place in this particular portion of the overall saga, right? Because they're trying to drag you back into the nostalgia. And it's convoluted and it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense. And it just feels like a giant mess. None of it feels cohesive or connected to anything that's happened before. This all just feels like a giant game of checkers, right? With no emotion, just pawn to, I don't know how you, or not checkers, but chess, right? Like just pawn to knight 2 or whatever, however you play chess. And
pawn to Jar Jar Binks.
Right? Like,
Okay.
God, at this point, I miss Jar Jar.
I know, right? Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with one, like a couple last things here really quick. Let's talk about the Death Star or the pieces of the Death Star we probably see. And then let's talk about Palpatine. So, Mary, since you're so off put by Palpatine's laughter, let's go down that road. She's quiet.
She's muted.
She's like, I'm going to kill somebody. Okay, well, let's go with Hoff.
No, I'm good. I'm sorry. I was laughing maniacally to myself, but go ahead.
Okay, well, Mary, let's hear. Go ahead. Let it out.
No. Please let Hoff go first because
okay, Hoff. Go ahead.
Let others go first.
All right. Yeah, it is kind of odd to see like a huge piece of the Death Star just like in the water, if that is indeed what it is, which I'm sure it is at this point. But I don't mean to jump ahead here, but I think it kind of goes hand in hand with whatever Palpatine is involved with this movie.
I agree with
whether it be a number of theories, but I heard one earlier today I thought could be plausible. And maybe it's just the fact that they go and there's still some technology working on the old Death Star and they see like a hologram of the Emperor. And maybe that's how they fit him into the movie. It's not really like a reincarnation or anything like that.
That could be.
Lee, what do you think?
Redcon. I think it is a direct redcon, and I think JJ went. I honestly believe he. Jesus Christ! I honestly believe that he went from the game Battlefront, because Battlefront was put out, and I did not like the new one, and the way that it ended was with the Death Star, because it was told from a different perspective, and when that blew up, the explosion was different than in the original movies. I think they're retconning the game, and they're going to use that as a jump-off point. And I heard that Palpatine is supposed to have limbs from General Grievous. That was something I was watching EBS, and apparently someone who's been really good with predicting things has said that he's going to be rebuilt from General Grievous. And if that's the case, which I think it would be, Jesus Christ.
That will be worth price of admission for the laughs alone.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Clone Wars season 7. That's what I'm promoting.
Okay. Shaun. Oh, sorry, Lee. Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of mirror what Mary's saying. I'm mentally and emotionally drained. I was telling a coworker this when I came out of Last Jedi. I was with some friends of mine. We got the popcorn and the Twizzlers. We were all happy, and we came out and collectively looked at each other and go, "WTF? What did we just watch? What just for 2 hours? What of my life? Time I don't have. Jesus, what just happened? What just happened?" And I feel like that's going to be my same reaction. What happened?
Shaun,
Okay.
your ideas.
Follow me on this because we're going to go into a different universe. Just for an example. Okay. So at the end of Jedi, Vader throws Palpatine off the bridge of the Death Star. Okay. We never saw Palpatine's body, right? We assumed he was dead, and I mean, I believed he was dead. But what if, because in the beginning of the trailer it says, you know, nobody's ever gone, you know, blah blah blah. What if think back to Superman the movie, okay? And they imprisoned Zod in the Phantom Zone. Okay. So what if when Luke all of a sudden force projected like no one has ever force projected before, it unleashed such great power that maybe it freed a Palpatine that was stuck in some sort of a dimension?
I'd say you were high on drugs.
Yeah, I would say so as well.
That is some good stuff.
No, and you know what? I'm being absolutely serious because no one has ever force projected before.
Well, I still think that Snoke was doing it too. But
what if Snoke is?
I don't think he's Palpatine.
What if he's a relation or a descendant of Palpatine?
I don't think so. Two different species. I think. I don't know.
Look, it's all too convoluted, right?
It is.
It's just all far too convoluted.
So, Mary, you obviously have your viewpoints on this. So go ahead and let people know. More so, you know, I know they've seen your video, but let them have it again.
Well, I'll try to remain a little calmer this time and use my inside voice if at all possible. But at this particular point in time, it seemed to me certainly that the point they were trying to get across, certainly at Celebration, was where essentially they had the laugh and the cackle, right? Like bare minimum. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt here. He's back in some kind of forced ghost form, right? We'll say that's essentially how he's back, right? Like not even a holocron, because I don't think if you used a Sith holocron that this would make any sense to have him there pulling the strings, which is what they're seeming to convey to me, right? To me, it undoes the victory that Luke had at the end of the Return of the Jedi, right? It undoes that because the victory was never won then, right? Because Palpatine's still here. He's still pulling strings. Even from the grave, he has power. So he could never be stopped because no one's ever really gone, right? So
it takes away from the redemption arc, basically.
Completely.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
It completely destroys the redemption arc. Even if he comes back, and even if they try to sidestep it and say, oh, well, he did die. Well, then what does it matter? What does it matter if he died? Because he's still here, right? Like,
but is that not what we've been taught about the Force? Is even if you strike me down?
But that was why it was so important that only the Jedi could do it.
But
right?
they have shown instances where the dark side, and I'm not even sure if it'd be a Force ghost, but I mean, I understand completely what you're saying. If you bring him back,
and then you get into that hairy territory of the EU, and right, like casual fans or fans who haven't seen outside of the movies, who don't understand the expanded universe. You have people who all they know now is that, oh, so no one's ever really gone. The story will never end, right? So it really does undo what Luke did. When Luke made that decision, that fateful decision to cast, after he cut off Vader's hand, right? And you see him and he looks at his own hand and the Emperor is cackling at him. And he has this moment of clarity where he realizes he's been on the line. He stepped on the line, and if he goes any further, there's no coming back, right? That moment, that was the moment that saved Anakin from the dark side. That was the moment that destroyed the Empire and the Emperor himself, because that was the moment that saved Anakin, the chosen one. And Anakin needed that moment that moment of self-sacrifice on Luke's part, where he's being held up and he's being fried by the Emperor, right? Like or we're not held up, but where he's being fried by the Emperor. And Anakin looks over and he sees his son who just laid his own life aside for him. And because of that, he picks up the Emperor and he basically gets himself killed in the process, right? And he throws him over, and that is the moment of victory for Luke. But if the Emperor never went away, if he was never gone, if he never stopped pulling the strings or stopped having power, that moment meant nothing. The moment meant nothing because he's back now, and we're right back at square one.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Well, we've had some great talking points. I'm going to give you my whole thought process here in a second and let you guys want to kill me because we'll have to close it up after that. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to give our last two giveaways. Hoff, your name is off the board now. That leaves two people.
Off is off.
But you're going to pick on the panelists, so I need a number between 1 and 2.
Oh, between.
Remember,
Yes.
I helped you last
There
time.
aren't any.
1.5. Here, no. Yes, a number, either 1 or 2.
Let's go with number 1, because if you ain't first, you last.
Number 1, they're both holding their hands, going like, "Am I going to win? Am I going to win?" Number 1 is Mary. So Mary wins.
All right.
All right. Lee, you know what? Because there's only 3 of you here other than Shaun. Shaun knows he can talk to me anytime about what I'm going to give away. But I will talk to all 3 of you, and I'm going to be a gracious host today. And I'm going to say all 3 of you will win because you've been so great. I appreciate you guys coming. I'm going to say that right now. We're going to go right now. And I'm going to say, Lee, let's see here. We got a number between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's like being on Oprah.
8, 9.
You get a car. You get a car.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so Lee, I need a number between 1 and 10.
Ooh, I'm making someone's dreams come true here. I'm gonna go with 7.
Rev Kev, you have won, and that is again going to be a copy of Batman Under the Red Hood that we're giving away. Congratulations, Rev, and I will get with you on that. Big Daddy-O has just joined. Very good, Big Daddy-O. Okay, so here's my viewpoint, and like I said, after that, you guys can laugh and want to kill me later and invite me on and torture me and all that. So my thought process here is much like I believe Hoff, you said it, or I don't know, I think it was Hoff that said possibly a hologram on the Death Star. Is that what you said?
Yeah, possibly. Like maybe Kylo Ren's gone there to find some artifacts or whatever.
It's either going to be Kylo or the group that's with Rey going there, because obviously it's going to have something to do with a piece of the puzzle that they're trying to figure out, whatever that is. I don't think we have a clue yet what it is, but I believe it will either be probably a hologram or the echoes of time that Rey is hearing or Kylo is hearing. We've already seen that used in The Force Awakens, where when Rey touches the box of Ben Kenobi, that she hears all these things. She hears, I think Qui-Gon's even in there, but she hears all this stuff going on. I think it's going to be similar to that. I don't think he's back. It is kind of questionable why McDermott has been brought into this again there. So again, I would lean more to a hologram. I'm hoping that's all it is. But I do see a lot of problems here. I do believe that Rey and Kylo are brother and sister, I believe. And everybody's like, well, how is it that, Leia doesn't know? And how is it this? And how is it that? I'm not positive that she doesn't. And I'm not positive this isn't like General Antilles, who didn't say anything for years and didn't even let on. And they know this stuff. They know where she came from. They know where Luke came from, and they never let on. So I'm not totally under the impression that that's not a possibility. I take from this the fact that it's going to take a lot to fix the problems that have been brought into this by both JJ and Ryan. George Lucas coming into here, I think these are scenes that I've seen that were in concept art for 7 that I've looked at they've had this stuff kind of thought out before, and I'm wondering if George Lucas isn't kind of just giving them bits and pieces of what he would have done and just saying, here, this is what I have, throw it all together and see what you come up with. And that might be what they're doing, and it might be their only possible direction they can go. Again, quiet optimism is where I'm at with this. I do question if Snoke is dead. I think that the part where you hear Luke saying, we have taught you everything we know, I think we're going to see a lot more Force ghosts that we've ever seen. And I'm wondering if we might get some more training in this for her. I hope so, because at this point, like everybody says, she is a Mary Sue. I don't disagree with that. And I'm wondering, worst case scenario, if we have Force ghosts that are of the dark side. So possibly that's where Ian McDiarmid comes in. And I don't want to see that. I'm with you, Mary. It does take so much away. I think it would be much better if it's an echo of time coming back, or if it's just a hologram and something just kicks on in the Death Star. Like him saying from the Return of the Jedi, maybe, I don't know, just something that's stuck in a memory bank. That would be the only way to get away from what you said, taking away from the hero arc and the redemption arc. Those are my thought processes on it. That's my thought on it.
This is something we have to navigate so carefully.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Just to make it work, and it doesn't feel like they are prepared to do that.
I don't think they are, but I have hope. Which, again, I've told people, I am on a thin line here, and I'm hoping I don't think you guys will be proven completely wrong. I'm just hoping you're pleasantly surprised that they even could have fixed any one of a number of problems. I mean, if they fix half the problems, I think some people will look back on this and go like, okay, this is not that great, but it's not as bad as we thought it was. That's my only hope for this really right now. So I want to thank all of you for coming again. Everybody who is watching, thank you very much. The chat was great. You guys were great in the chat. I'm looking forward to a 500 sub party here in like about a week. Okay.
Yes.
I'm looking for it.
Make it happen, people. Don't be stingy.
Yeah. Just pass the name, the Real Review 3000 around. You can find me at chrisknight 5150 on Twitter. Right now, we're going to go down the line. We're going to go backwards from the way we did it last time. Shaun, pimp your channel, please. Shaun.
Yeah. I feel like I've pimped it enough. People know who I am.
What did you know?
Okay. All right. Well, Mary, go ahead and pimp your channel.
All right, guys. Well, I am Mary B, the bringer of mayhem, the disruptor of the narrative, and the official Whammon card holder of this particular group. So you can find me over on my channel, Mary Mayhem, which I will, if it's okay, Chris, throw a link for that in the chat.
The links to all your channels are in the description. I will say that. I did do that. But yes, go right ahead and put it in there.
Yes, so please, come by and hang out. We're going to do, I think, Cards Against Humanity right after this, once we get everybody squared away. So if you guys would like to watch us act silly and just enjoy each other's company, which I think is important to do sometimes, just especially in light of losing so much today when it comes to like the Cathedral of Notre-Dame. Like sometimes it's important to just remember to value and appreciate each other and just enjoy each other's company. So come hang out with us.
Yeah. Okay, Lee, please give them your shindig.
Oh God, it's whatever. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, but never media show money-taking, the man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying YouTuber in YouTube entertainment today, Lee Cole the Fourth. And yeah, I got some exciting stuff coming up. I'm going to be doing my deal where I've been doing alien videos, so I've been going down the line with that. And I also have a dual personality called Stig Cole, and he invades my channel every once in a while to give the SJWs some inclusion. And yeah, I do reviews and things like that, and Let's Talk, which I plan on trying to get everyone onto that program. And what it is I pick a topic, and then we have a lively debate and a nice friendly debate about the topic of the night. So definitely come and check me out.
Yeah, very good. And yeah, I was on Let's Talk. We had a really good conversation there. It's a great segment you have, and I would encourage everybody out there to go and sub to your channel and make sure that you check that out. Also with Mary, Mary's got always has great opinions, great live streams, shenanigans, the karaoke, all the fun stuff. Go check her out too, and make sure you sub to her. And last and definitely not least is Hoff. Hoff, go ahead and pimp your channel again, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Hoff Solo. Yeah, just look that up. Should be like the only channel or whatever. Or you can just click those like 3 little dots there. Doesn't matter. Anyways, I do a bunch of different kinds of things there. I should have a new podcast hopefully this week. I'm really planning to make that happen. I like to do the podcast more than anything else because I just kind of get to be myself. But also, I did want to plug. I should be having Chris on for a Hoff interviews episode on Wednesday at 7 Eastern time. It'd be 6 for you, right?
Yes.
All right. So join for that. That should be a good time as well. It'll be Battle of the Egos.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry you've lost. So, anyways, no.
Well, I'll be nice on my interview. You know,
okay.
It's not about me. Great. It's not about me.
No, that's right. It's about me. It's always about me. No, okay. Hey, guys, thank you for coming. Shaun, Stackhouse, I put your link in the chat. Thank you for coming also. Again, Shaun, people, if you don't know, Shaun is a rock for me. He has been doing a lot of my editing for the videos. He's also an integral part on screen for the Real Review 3000. So check out his YouTube page and make sure you go and like and subscribe everything he has and everything he does. Do that like button for it.
And if you don't, again, I will find you.
He won't. He can't find his way out of the web paper bag, guys. So just don't worry about that. Again, guys, thank you very, very much for coming on to this 100 sub party. I just, I greatly appreciate everything you all have done for me and everybody out there that was in the chat. Again, great job. And thank you everybody for watching. Please help spread the word about the Real Review 3000. We'd love to get to 500 subs here and have another party for everybody and give away more stuff. And everybody do me a favor and say goodbye to the lovely audience and to the chat. Thank you very much, everybody. I will see you later.
Bye, beautiful people.
Goodbye.
Woo.